Hey guys, we're on our way to my flying field in Leicestershire in the UK, and today I'm going to fly level 6 of the pilot proficiency program for intermediate pilots. Although I'll be going through it fairly quickly, this level is not easy, and generally it will take a few weeks to work through this properly as you're learning. Level 6 is mostly about sideways manoeuvres, but includes a few aerobatic and 3D moves such as Piro flips and rolling circles. It's not much more difficult than level 5 to be fair, but with the extra orientations and advanced manoeuvres it should be a good one. Let's go. The first manoeuvre is sideways loops. In this direction, the tail thrust is helping the model go round, so you don't have to do a lot of work. However, you can hear the tail working harder as it has to generate extra thrust to keep up, and it will be prone to letting go if the model isn't set up properly. Coming back the other way, and the tail won't be working as hard, so it won't complain as much, but you will have to counter the tail thrust by really leaning into it to get it to go round nicely. You'll need to do all 4 variations from the left and from the right, and with both nose in and tail in. We're looking for a straight and level entry, a round loop with consistent speed, and an exit at the same level you entered. This is actually a lot harder than it looks, as very few pilots ever bother with sideways other than a transition to something else. However, these will come in very handy, especially for things like Piro loops where you'll need to fly it rather than getting away with stirring and timing. It won't take more than a session or two to get these right. The next manoeuvre is sideways outside loops, so similar to the previous one, but you start and end inverted. Once again, the tail thrust is helping and complaining at the same time in this direction. Sideways loops are a really great test, as you can't just add collective and aileron and expect them to go round. You need to judge how much angle you need on entrance and when to start increasing it. Too early and you won't get the height or size, too late and it becomes a square on the way up. Then there's the transition at the top. When do you start the rollover and how do you make it as subtle as possible? On the way down you need to guide it, so you'll be playing with elevator to keep it on track, and that reverses being dependent on whether it's still a negative pitch at the top or positive at the bottom. You learned all of this stuff when you did forwards and backwards loops a long time ago, and it's always interesting having to relearn moves with a different orientation. Makes you see those old maneuvers with new eyes. One move that will help learning these is sideways snakes. Spend a flight or two just doing sideways, left and right, snakes into wingovers, stall turns into funnels, and sideways loops into sideways globes. Sideways tumbles is the third maneuver for this level. You need to do 3 tumbles in each variation, and there are 4 variations: forward flips away, forward flips towards, backwards away, and backwards towards. Once again, it's important to be aware of tail thrust. One way the model can be kept almost flat and be pushed nicely along on its own against the thrust, and you'll need to lean over to keep the speed consistent. You don't want to do these with maximum elevator. They should be nicely controlled with a consistent height and centered on your position. Doing 3 flips, the helicopter should be inverted as it reaches the position in front of you. And if you want to take it to the next level, try tumbling circles or figures of 8. Rainbows is a relatively easy one if you've been doing this long enough. I guess they're preparing you for side-on Tictocs. These should be done tail down, as the guide suggests back elevator and then forward elevator to return to position. 2 variations are required from the left and the right. What we're looking for is a semicircle, where the tail is always pointing at the center, and the stop should be crisp and the model settles quickly. Not easy with the breeze and the helicopter leaning into it. Skids In Tictocs is one of those maneuvers that will take your flying to the next level and put you well above most pilots. These are tricky, and you'll have to put in a lot of effort in the sim to get them right. But once you have them, absolute killer. There are 4 variations required in this section: nose up, nose down, left and right, and you need to do at least 5 Tictocs for each one. They don't need to be mega fast. In fact, a consistent speed across them is preferred to show that you have proper control. For F3N, a Tic-Toc is defined as not going beyond 45 degrees from vertical, and the model should not move more than 2 meters from the start position. At this point you can already do blades in Tic-Tocs, so we know you and the model can do them. It's just a case of getting used to the new orientation, right? 4-point Tic-Tocs makes it all a bit more difficult. This is a great move for cementing your Tic-Tocs and getting finer control, so a very worthwhile maneuver. Start slow, visualize where the helicopter needs to be, and let the fingers do the work. You'll need to do this both clockwise and anti-clockwise for this program. For half-pirouetting flips, we're looking for 2 variations of left and right rudder, and there should be at least 3 full flips. You should be tail in after each flip, and you want to reach the knife edge boom horizontal position in each half piro flip. For the Mobius, the guide gives 2 descriptions, so I'm going to go with the second one, which is a figure of 8, where the helicopter is inverted for one circle and upright for the other. These have been around for a long time and there's a nice flow to them, and I think they look really good when done low and fast. They can also be taken to the next level by adding pirouetting. The first version mentioned in the guide is the stationary Mobius, where the model makes the same shape but it stays on the spot and is done a lot faster. I think this is probably more difficult, so better to learn the full Mobius and then progress onto making them smaller or stationary. And finally we get to rolling circles. If you've tried these, you already know how difficult they can be. These will need to be done both ways, left and right. The guide describes the rolling circle as rolling in, where a left-hand circle would use a left roll to roll into the circuit, and a right-hand circle would use a right roll to roll in. I'm doing 8 rolls per circle, as it makes this easier to hit the marks and come out cleanly. I have another in-depth video on learning these, so I've put a link in the description. In conclusion, Level 6 Intermediate 3D covers sideways flight and some advanced maneuvers that you should be getting used to by now. These are difficult maneuvers, and you shouldn't expect to be able to do them all in a day. Take your time with these, figure out which orientations are easier, do them on the sim if you can as well. Try each one on the Piro trainer to make sure you're putting the right inputs in. The next episode, Advanced 3D, is the last official level in the pilot proficiency program and will contain mostly pirouetting maneuvers. Please take a second to hit the subscribe button below. It really helps me out and lets me know that you'd like to see more. Until next time.